Hello. I'm out in the forest. It's a DNR land looking for some mushrooms today. I found like a reishi, I found two chanterelles so far, not very much. And I found uh, one pretty good size oyster mushroom, but like a little bunch of them. But I'm not really a huge fan, so I just left it alone. Anyway, I was walking along this ridge line here. There's a game trail that follows it, which is like one of my favorite places to kind of walk through the woods if you're gonna walk off trail. As you can see, there's cars passing me because I walked deep into the woods and then followed this, and it came back to the road. Um, when you're wandering through the woods, you want to kind of keep a tab. I mean, you should have a compass and all that as well, but you want to keep tabs on where you are. If you are not good with direction, definitely have a map and compass if you can study it before you go on your journey. um, for me, I kind of I have a really good sense of direction in the forest, so I'm not too worried about it. Also, I keep track of a lot of, how to put it, landmarks. For example, like I said, I was on a ridge. You see, I walked down this ridge. Sometimes when you're mushroom hunting, if you don't find anything at a certain elevation, if you just go down 20 feet, you could stumble upon your next kind of honey hole of mushrooms. So it's always worth, check that elevation. Then, you know what? This is a great little hemlock forest, Douglas fir forest, or whatever. Theoretically, it should have a bunch of chanterelles, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you just don't find them. You get skunked. But it's the search that's kind of fun for me. That's why I like it. You just get to go walk around in the woods for a while. Sounds weird, but it's kind of relaxing. Um, you never know what you're going to find. You're never going to know what you're going to see. Sometimes you run into wildlife. I never really have ran into anything dangerous, but I've seen owls. Me and I saw an owl out here one time, not too long ago, and today I've seen a few tree frogs, a lot of poop from elk and deer. Haven't seen any bear signs or anything like that. I think I found some cat sign. I don't know what it would have been. It would have either been maybe a bobcat or a mountain lion, but probably a bobcat because I don't know. I'm sure there's mountain lions up here. Actually, I know there are. Again, in theory, they're everywhere around the foothills of the Cascades. They're just hard to come by, and they can hear you coming from a long way away. Generally speaking, they won't mess with you as an adult human being because you're kind of big. I've seen videos recently, though, of them defending their cubs or their territory, which, if you come across that kind of situation, you definitely want to be prepared. But this time of year, they don't have cubs. They have cubs in the spring. You don't have to be as worried about it. All right. Now this is, see, it got dark here. Perfect little mushroom area. I'll make sure I check this area really good. You can kind of see that game. I don't know if you can see that. Just walked through there quite a bit. Over there, I don't know if they use this to go down right here. But I tend to find a lot of good mushrooms on game trails or around game trails. There's a western red cedar. So like something like this, it's bright, colorful. There's some kind of bug eating it and leaving a lot of dust, wood dust. And just seeing that, now I kind of have a idea of where I am. This is so like, let's say if I keep wanting to go farther in, I have a landmark where I'm like, oh, if I keep following these game trails, when I come back to this point, be like, oh, hey, this is that tree that had sawdust coming out of it, because there's only one like it, and it only, even if there was multiple of them like it, they wouldn't look the same. So you just got to keep track of where you are. I'm not going to walk farther down. I want to stay on this level for a minute and look around. Maybe I get lucky. Maybe I don't. Also, it's good if you're gonna go on long treks in the woods and you're like really going deep, you should always carry a backpack with some supplies, first aid kit, all that type of stuff. If you're doing smaller walks like this, I wouldn't worry as much about it. You should still have some things. I carry my water, I have some snacks in my pocket. I have a knife, a pocket knife, some tool, like stuff that I could, I don't know, just get by with, my phone. In the short interim, plus again, I can hear the road, and I know the land around here. I'm in between the road and a river, so like no matter what, I can't really get lost. If I go right, which is east, I will hit the road. If I go left, which is west, I'll hit the river. So we've just been traveling north and south on these paths. Pretty crazy how thick the moss is here. Look at that. Alright, well, I just think I'm gonna head back. I'm not really finding anything, not seeing anything popping out to me, and I didn't give myself too much time. I already went to one area, explored that for about an hour. In this area, I knew I wasn't going to have much time in because right now the sun sets at like 5:58 or something like that. So you got to always keep that in mind when you're out and about, or if you're out in the wilderness. You got to kind of, especially in the fall, which is prime mushroom and hunting seasons, you got to keep in mind that you're really on a really kind of strict time limit. Whew. Because you don't want to get caught out deep in the woods. Even in a little area like this, you can see it would be pretty easy. I feel like a lot of people, I've known several, and I've been out in the woods with people, and they just are like, I have no idea where we are. And I'm like, oh, we just got to go this way. And they're like, I'm glad you're here, but how do you know? And it's one of those things. There's signs, they always say like, check the side of the trees for moss. That's like the north side. It doesn't work in forests like this though. The reason being, if you look, this is the north side of the tree, right? It's mossy. This is the south side of the tree, and it's still mossy. So You aren't going to find out that way. Not in this kind of forest. You have to just, like I said, kind of keep track of which way you're going, and keep track of landmarks and different terrain, and try to follow game trails if you can. I like to follow game trails and walk on recently fallen trees and logs personally. That's because it has less of an impact on the forest floor, so you aren't really tromping down anything, making new trails. So you're kind of like leaving as little trace as possible while searching for this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. It's brightening up over here because you can see daylight a little better. All right. Sometimes it's hard to believe you aren't finding anything when you see places like this that look like they would be perfect for what you're looking for. Like this area here where I'm at, there's like soft soil, moss. These are all fir trees or hemlock, and that's what chanterelles grow. They have a symbiotic relationship with hemlock and fir tree roots. I think there's another tree in different parts of the world that they also, well, but they're all a little bit different. But yeah, it just feels like a perfect area for mushrooms, but just not seeing them here. Kind of like to show people what it's like. A lot of people that I talk to really want to get into foraging or having a hobby that doesn't really require much money. You can come out here pretty much whenever you want. I think you have to buy like the Discover Pass for a lot of places to park, but that's like $30 a year, so it's not that bad. And it just kind of, I don't know, it's calming to be away from all the hustle and bustle sometimes, and you just walk around and look for stuff and explore. It's just important that people are safe, don't get lost, take the right precautions. When I first started doing this a lot, I bought a bunch of things I didn't really need, but it was because that's what I do when I get into a new hobby. I end up going a little full tilt and getting myself a bunch of gear for that hobby. And then after a while I find out I didn't really need that. It's cool to have, but it's a little excessive unless you're like gonna go out and get 6 or 7 pounds of mushrooms or something in one haul. In a lot of areas you're only allowed to take a certain amount anyway. If you're a commercial picker and you're planning on selling, you have to have a bunch of permits usually. Some of the permits are pretty expensive. There's private property like you know, Weyerhaeuser, Rainier, those lands where the forests are kind of on a farm. Those forests are, I think, $500 about for a permit, and sometimes you pay for the access and they'll give you a key to the gates. So you can go up there and go look around. I've had pretty good success in well, when I first started doing this a long time ago, that's where I first found a lot of chanterelles, was on Rainier property. I didn't have a permit. I was a kid, and I would just go out there on hikes and with my brother, and we would come back with a big bag full of mushrooms, chanterelles. And one time we traded one guy we knew a bag of chanterelles, and he gave us some scallops or bacon wrapped scallops. I said that was a good trade. Yeah, let's see here. So right now I'm coming to an area where it's getting denser, which usually means that you're coming to water or a swamp-like area where there's going to be a lot wetter ground. Mushrooms don't necessarily love swamps. They might grow on the edges of swamps or a little bit 10 or 15 feet in from a swamp, but they don't grow in the swamp very often. They like water because they come up after it rains, but they don't necessarily like being in water or right next to a lot of water. Alright, so I'm back up to the top ridge where I initially went down. You can see this is the game trail that I followed in. Goes here and this way. Huh. Well, better luck next time. Anyway, hope that this has been interesting for you as it has for me. Talk to you later. Bye.